Welcome to the Snowboard Project, version 3.0. I am the computer. Enter your request. Opening podcast directory. You have chosen Real Talk. I will connect you now.
All right, guys, welcome back to another edition of Real Talk. And so today I am joined by my awesome co-host, the realist, Chad Otterstrom. Welcome to the show, Chad. Cool. And then also Bjorn Leines. How's it going, Bjorn?
I'm doing good, brother.
Right on, right on. So we've got a pretty interesting show for you today, I guess, because I think that we should. Well, first off, we should probably talk about what riding you guys have been up to. I know it's Christmas time. Have you guys been riding every day, or what have you guys been up to? Let's start with you, Chad.
I actually went to a satellite board shop team shoot at Eldora a little less than a week ago. Showed with Pat A, couple other homies, and they had some pretty fun little park jumps and some rails. It's called Woodward Eldora. It's like kind of a branded Woodward park out there. So I haven't ridden Woodward in over 2 decades, or not Woodward, but Eldora. So it was kind of fun to go there. Besides that, kind of tiptoeing around any sort of backcountry stuff and riding Breck here and there, but it's been dangerous here, so kind of just chilling and riding park.
How much snow is in Breck right now? Because it doesn't seem like there's a lot on the other side of the pass.
We're probably at about 60% capacity, I would say, or average. Not a lot. We could definitely use a couple more feet. Try to get in the woods, and you start hitting rocks and this and that. But that's the good thing about being around here is we got awesome parks. I also rode a Copper's Pipe the other day. That was pretty fun and scary at the same time. But yeah.
Wait, how can it be scary for you? You're like you were a professional pipe rider. You almost made the Olympic team maybe in like 2002. How can riding pipe be scary?
Well, in 2002 it was an 18-foot half pipe, and even in 2006 it was an 18-footer. But it was only scary for the first like 5 runs, because when you don't ride a 22-foot solid ice half pipe every day, you feel like scared to do a 4-foot air. But then once you get used to it and your body loosens up, you're good. But those first like 5 runs are just like full roller coaster ride on an ice sheet. And 2002 was also 18 years ago. So.
It was. So you should be that much better. 18 years progressed in your skill set. So I would say that you should be like winning contests by now.
I know.
I saw your clips, man. You were sending it. It's some big airs, big McTwist. You're handling that pipe.
Thanks.
Right on, right on. So how about you, Bjorn? What did you do for Christmas time? Have you been riding? What have you been up to?
Yeah, so I was around here. I did a little excursion to Minnesota, but prior to that, riding some Woodward, kind of riding just more resort. It's really dangerous, and we're backcountry here right now. We've just got a highly unstable snowpack, really. And so, yeah, some Snowbird, some Brighton, some Woodward. Then I drove 1,250 miles to Minnesota for like 4 or 5 days, and we went to Elm Creek, which was cool. It's like this tiny resort, just like a half hour from where I grew up, just like rope tows and stuff. And yeah, then we just floored it back here and going splitboarding tomorrow. So pretty excited to get back out there and see what the conditions are doing. I mean, following along on the snowpack, but we've had some storms while I was gone, so it the resorts are filling in a little bit more here now. It's still kind of like what Chad's got in Colorado, just, not 100% snowpack as of normal right now. I'd say we're probably at maybe like 60, 65%. So lots of sharp rocks out there, and you got to be careful.
Right. Did you get any snow out of this last storm? I saw that Jackson got like over a foot last night.
Yeah, I didn't look last night. We had like 18 inches a few days ago. It was snowing last night. I know that. Um, but yeah, we kind of have like these little storms are lined up for this week, like 2 to 4 tomorrow, another 2 to 4 at night, and then a couple like 1 to 3s. And so we definitely need it though. So yeah.
Yep. So I think they are starting to get some snow. Jackson, like I said, and Grand Targhee got over a foot of snow. Mount Baker got over a foot of snow last night, so it is snowing. Avalanche conditions are pretty sketchy in the Northwest. Definitely sketchy anywhere they got a foot of snow last night. So definitely be aware and know what the avalanche conditions are anywhere you're going to go out. What's it like where you're going to go out tomorrow, Bjorn? Have you checked the avalanche forecast?
Yeah, I mean, it's considerable. It's high on a lot of aspects. Basically, what we had happen was it didn't snow for like a month from November 15th to like December 15th ish. And so when you have that happen and it's cold weather, every night that snowpack, the facets or the flakes, the crystals actually grow at night and turns into what we call faceted snow, and which is basically like sugary. And so yeah, the bottom foot of our entire snowpack is just this sugar. So it's pretty much the worst start that you would want for a season.
Right.
It's called a persistent weak layer, and it's going to be like that all season. The hope is that we just get a whole bunch of snow, like a big kind of heavier storm, and it just rips everything out to the ground and you start over.
Man, that sounds like you're asking for trouble.
Seriously.
Or you're asking for trouble either way, really,
Yeah.
It's like Colorado, just like every year.
Yeah. Do you
Right.
guys
It's
have
like
a persistent, deep, weak layer in your snowpack right now, Chad?
Normally, yeah. It's usually you just have a foot of sugar at the bottom, hanging out. It's got to get real deep and then rip, and just kind of solidify to the point where it doesn't really move. But then sometimes it does move, come April, like you'll get these 15-foot crowns that'll just slide out. You call it the October layer.
That does not sound like a good time, especially come April.
The Pagoda comes in a 152, 158, and a 162. Free the POW on this highly maneuverable, go-anywhere board that blurs the lines between freestyle, freeride, and POW surfing. The Pagoda has a 50-50 blend of regular camber that transitions into reverse camber right under your foot in the perfect pivot platform area. This allows for maximum flow to the nose. The Pagoda has a blend of radical and progressive side cut. The combination of regular side cut and reverse side cut, which is set back slightly on your stance of the board, gives it a surfy ride and a very responsive feel. By placing more surface area under your foot and a gradual nose rocker with half camber, this allows you to create shorter boards with more float. The Pagoda also has a wider platform with a wider waist width. Combine that with a 20mm taper across all sizes. On our Cardiff boards, we use a black graphite-infused sintered base. This allows for maximum glide, durability, and easy repair.
No.
Wow. So I guess it is snowing. A lot of people, I think, probably unwrapped some new split boards and some new gear, and so everyone's kind of excited to go out. There's like over 300 resorts open. I saw that like Ober-Gatlinburg in Tennessee is open, so if they're open, pretty much everywhere is open nationwide. Right, if Tennessee has got their resort open, then pretty much it's cold enough anywhere for riding. So I'd say that people are now experiencing, if they haven't yet, the COVID, as far as how that's changed the way that you interact with like the resorts. So everyone has to do the social distancing, wearing masks, and so just if you guys know or don't know, I just wanted to let you know that the surgical masks. The surgical mask, like when you're in lift line and stuff, that's 70% effective of like protecting you. And then like just a cloth, like a buff or whatever, is only about 30% effective in protecting you from like those particles floating through the air. So FYI, you might want to have one of those surgical masks in your pocket if you have these like jammed up lift lines Christmas week, right? people just get jammed up. So just wanted to put that out there because I went riding the other day and it was like, I mean, a lot of like people with their masks are like down in the lift lines. A lot of people like, with just buffs on or whatever. And, I don't care. I mean, I can keep my distance or whatever, but I just, want to make sure that people are aware of what's going on out there. How have like the lift lines been in Breckenridge, and how have the, just the crowds been as far as like people being able to like keep the resort running, keeping everything flowing as far as like reservations, lift lines, parking, all of that stuff in Breckenridge?
Well, this last week, the reservations have been filled up, so I haven't really been able to get on hill. But before then, you just make a reservation and you go up on the hill, and the lines haven't been too bad except for this week because, like I said, it's been full and everybody's amped to get up there and everybody's on vacation. So even if you did make a reservation, you're probably here skiing or snowboarding. Yeah. But, I mean, it's actually less busy than a regular Christmas because of the reservations that not as many people are allowed up there. And then, yeah, besides that, I usually just go up and hike a park rail or a park jump just to stay away from the lift lines and people, park distancing or whatever you want to call it. Right. And then, but Copper Mountain, they do parking reservations. You got to make a parking reservation, which is full all week as well. If not, you can take the bus up from Frisco, and that kind of filters out, blowing out the resort, I guess, as well.
So what you're saying is that like Summit County is world class this week, world class lift lines, that is.
Yeah, full pull lift lines going on.
Okay, so what is it like in Utah, Bjorn? Give us the update from there. Do you have to make reservations? I mean, you're going split boarding, obviously, so you don't need a reservation for that ever. But what's going on at like Snowbird, Brighton? How are they dealing with it?
Yeah, so kind of two different ways they handle it. Big Cottonwood Canyon, which is Solitude, and Brighton, there is no parking reservations. It's a first come, first serve. I know that they do have like blackouts on some of the passes right now over the holidays on certain passes and stuff, but it's filling up. It fills up quick up there. Like you absolutely have to be, the parking's full by like 9:30, 10 in the morning on a weekend. Mm-hmm. And I will find out when I go tomorrow, which is a Monday, what it's like in general. We're going to go up pretty early. But like Little Cottonwood, you do need a reservation for Snowbird. And then what Alta's doing, which is kind of a bummer, is, Alta,
Alta's own... a bummer always. I mean,
Alta's
what's new, right?
No. I mean, dude, Alta's insane. Yeah. I want to
How are they messing this up? How are they doing it wrong?
They're messing it up even more because basically they own the parking lot at the end of Little Cottonwood, which is Grizzly Gulch access. Mm-hmm. And so if you're a backcountry guy trying to go up to Grizzly, all of these just resort people, when their parking lot is more full, they'll park there. And so that's all filling up. So it's kind of like you really have to just get up there early in general. Big Cottonwood is literally turning cars around. By like 10 o'clock in the morning, they're just like, you can't even go in the canyon unless you have a residence pass that you live up there. So if you're just trying to go up there and go split boarding, they'll turn you around, which is pretty harsh. So, there's some big issues of parking and things to be solved in these canyons. It's kind of been going on for a few years. And so, we'll see how that transpires. But, regarding like the COVID-ness and all that, it's, people they're wearing their masks, ski patrol are enforcing it. And so, whether or not, you believe in the effectiveness of it to XYZ point, it's kind of like one of those things where it's a rule so we can all still enjoy it. So right. I would say just keep the face mask on and we'll try to keep these resorts open.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's the whole point of the masks is like, let's keep it open. Let's not create a situation where they're like, oh, these guys are like not listening to us no matter what rules we put in place, and so let's pull the plug,
We did do a demo at a resort the other day, mm-hmm. and we did several times. Like I have a face mask, and it was like below my nose, and they had people like kind of policing us, like, hey, pull that up and stuff like that. So we're very careful to make sure that we're following their guidelines. And I guess we just got to play by the game. Well, when we get in the backcountry, it's a totally different thing. You're with 2 to 6 people, and you're socially distanced anyways. And so, yeah.
Okay. So one more question for you about riding here over the holidays, Chad. Like, how would you recommend that somebody who's like a recreational snowboarder like myself, like how am I going to take the most advantage of riding here in Colorado here over the next couple weeks? Like, what am I going to do you think that's going to like keep me away from people and maximize my fun factor?
Loveland Pass and Berthoud Pass, car laps. Get a friend with a truck. Besides that, I mean, Copper Mountain's been pretty fun. They're pretty wide open. If I were to like go shred somewhere, I'd go to Copper Mountain. Eldora seemed pretty mellow too. But yeah, going to the passes, recreational, but on the level of your recreation, I bet you'd have a good time at Loveland Pass or Berthoud Pass. Bring a rock board, stay away from avalanche terrain, do some hiking. You get the exercise, makes it a little more fun too. So.
Great. I'll unwrap my brand new Academy rock board.
Yeah. Exactly. You get beverages there too.
I heard they're rock proof. Isn't that true?
Yeah. You should see my split board. It's completely slaughtered. Even though we don't make them, the one that I did make is like mostly ruined and not one edge pull. Yeah. Okay. I mean, they're not rock, but they're repairable.
New for 2021, this is the Harpoon. We really feel like we hit the nail on the head with this model by combining that snappy feel of the Instigator with that really fluid stability of the Mavericks. The Harpoon has our Fusion rocker camber profile, an early rise nose, and then 13 millimeters of taper. So flotation and powder is no problem. It rides freestyle really well because it is so nimble. What I like about it, it has an unbelievable edge hold on a heel side turn. I can still lay out those toe side turns on it. The Harpoon is going to be one of our most versatile and popular models coming out soon.
Okay, so how about for Utah? Like, if I want to drive out to Utah and I'm a recreational rider, how am I going to take the most advantage of like the conditions, the situation that's there right now? What would you recommend if you were just to be going riding and trying to make the most of the situation, Bjorn?
I would say if you like park riding at all, to go to Woodward, just because the crowds are not nearly as big over at Woodward. People will go ride there for like 2 to 3 hours and then they'll bounce. And they have a really fun park that's set up right now. They kind of just expanded it a little bit. Making the reservations ahead of time. Let's say you're on a week-long trip, I'd pick a day to go to Snowbird and reserve that parking. For those, I guess I'll give away. Well, never mind. There's some secret parking to be had. Let's just say that, where you don't need a reservation because it's on a state highway.
You almost let that out there.
Yes, I did. But yeah, I would say go up Canyon. If you're going to go in the backcountry, check the Utah avalanchecenter.org. Your backcountry reports, because it's really dangerous out there right now, and there's so many people out there. Hit Brighton during midweek. Also nightboarding at Brighton. There's way less people on the nightboarding tip, and it's still, they have their full park open, and you still get Crest Express, which is like kind of one of the main quads. And little gems up north like Powder Mountain. I haven't been there yet. We're going there for a demo, I believe January 6th for Cardiff. Mm-hmm. So come check us out if you want to ride some boards.
Cool. Right on. So there's the outlook for both Colorado and Utah. I saw this, though, in the news, is that like 70 people at the Big White Resort as of December 20th had tested positive. The employees of the resort, like 70 resort employees tested positive for COVID. So they had some kind of like something going on there. But anyhow, that just shows that like it can, they're like really on the cusp of like pulling the plug on Big White right now. They're trying to figure it out. So it just goes to show, just do your part, to try to make it safe for everyone and try not to have these resorts shut down like they just did in Austria. So they opened in Austria. I don't know if you guys heard this. They opened in Austria on the 24th on Christmas Eve. they're already shutting places down because of just the travel restrictions and everything. There's just nobody at the resorts, nobody there, and so they're like the resorts were allowed to open 3 days ago. Now they're already shutting down some of them. So kind of crazy.
Wow. Then Big White's actually in Canada. I thought you were talking Montana, but that's in Kelowna.
Oh, that's Kelowna. You were right.
Big White's, that's where Sean Johnson's home resort right there.
That's true.
You know. And I talked to somebody from Canada the other day, and apparently he said that, Canada was feeling pretty safe for a while there, and then, things are hitting the fan right now from what I hear.
Wow. I guess so. I mean, I don't know how many people work at a resort, but 70 seems like it would be a decent percentage of any small resort staff,
Yeah, that seems like a lot. That's a good resort too. Hopefully they get their act back together.
Yep. Yeah, totally. And so in Europe, they're also having problems with like COVID as well. Like some resorts are opening, some like resorts in Italy aren't opening at all this season. It's just like a cluster all over the place. I mean, the Czech Republic, they're closed at least until January 10th. Ontario in Canada as well is shut down basically. Like all the Ontario resorts are shut down for like New Year's, through New Year's anyway. So yeah, we're in some strange times. So just please do your part. If you're looking to have some fun out there, please do go have some fun. Go snowboarding, get out into nature, but also, keep in mind that there's other people and it's not just your actions. It's like this kind of chain of events that could happen and really mess it up for everybody. So anyhow, there's my 2 cents. I'm getting off the soapbox now. Time for you to get back up there, Chad.
Yeah.
Okay.
You got to do it. I mean,
yeah.
Whether you believe in the rules or not, like we're saying, and we don't want to give people an excuse to shut us down. Let's stay open.
Totally. Well, that's all the preaching we have to do about the COVID times that we got going on right now. So we're just going to move on to what I think is probably the thick of the news right now, which are like the movies that are still coming out. And so we had a bunch of new releases since our last Real Talk. Anything jump out for you, Bjorn?
Yeah, I really like the new Vans movie, Evergreen.
Okay.
I don't know if you guys got a chance to see it yet, but I really like the music. I thought the music set the tone for some of the action. Sam Taxwood had a killer part. I think he had a Smashing Pumpkins song that really kind of hit home for me. Some of the backcountry riding with like Arthur Longo, Pat Moore, a couple little Gooch lines in there as well. Brian Gucci, which is always awesome to see him on the big screen. And but yeah, then you had Parker Szymowski. I believe we were talking about him in the K2 movie, kind of just having like the banner part in the K2 movie. Well, it turns out that was almost like his B footage, even though there was a ton of A in there, because I was impressed. The kid went ham. He had a lot of action in Evergreen as well. And yeah, just really well done, high quality. I thought, the cinematography, the filming was really good. And the edit was solid. Tanner Pendleton, I believe, did the edit. So, and filming, but yeah, I was impressed with that one.
Did you watch that one, Chad? What did you think of Evergreen?
Yeah, I mean, I thought it was amazing. It was like a follow up to the Vans movie a couple years ago. That was
Landline.
Landline. Yeah. A part that really stood out to me was Cole Navin. Like, he was always kind of a creative, snowboarder style, kind of low key, not really doing anything crazy. And then he went pretty full pull on some of the rails he did that were just like high and long and kind of pretty insane. So he definitely impressed me a lot. But like Bjorn said, with everybody else, I really like watching Sam Taxwood ride for sure. He's got the perfect combo of like street stuff and backcountry, in my opinion. And then, you got like a Blake Paul with pretty smooth style, and the Animals and the whole roster. I mean, it's like Vans has a team that, if they're putting anything out, you want to go watch it. Same with skateboarding and Vans, They just came out with a skateboarding with a couple dudes that was pretty awesome on Thrasher a week or two ago.
What do you guys make of this? Because I've been wondering about like the balance of street riding and backcountry riding. Because you watch Evergreen, and it's like it kind of has these two like juxtaposed segments almost, where it's like all street, and then it goes to like a backcountry or like some kind of powder segment, and then it flips back to the street. What is the right balance to have, do you guys think, between the street and the backcountry, or do you just go all street or all backcountry? Because some of these other movies that came out kind of like picked one or the other and went with it, and some of them tried to do both. So what do you guys like make of that balance between street and backcountry or powder?
I mean, for me, it's like I want to see all of the action, street and backcountry, and I want to see them combined. When I see a rider like Chad mentioned, Sam Taxwood, who's got the gnarliest spots in the street, but then can go and put down like a switch 720 off a jump and pow. That stokes me out just because I like that kind of riding. When I watch just like an all street movie or an all backcountry movie, I mean, sometimes it gets a little one-dimensional seeming. It's nice to me to like see it broken up a little bit. I mean, I'm gonna always love an all backcountry movie regardless, because I just love that sort of snowboarding. But yeah, man, and you don't see a lot of people these days that are like kind of the ATV style, like let's go ride everything. It's just not as kind of like it used to be, I guess. I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, I would say that like in Scandinavians, we saw that mostly. Like the guys who would do jumps, park, and street all at once. In one part. So, what do you think? What's the balance, Chad?
I mean, I'm like Bjorn kind of said. I'm just more impressed with somebody that would put out both, and like a Sam that would have a little of both and kill it. It's kind of like you kind of go to the backcountry if you're a street rider. You're going to go to the backcountry because you want softer landings. But if you're doing both all the time, then it's just way more impressive. Like Bjorn said back in the day, like if you watch a foreign movie back in the day, all those dudes would have the most insane street riding. And then
all those dudes
all
like
sudden,
Bjorn?
yeah, all those dudes, like he was one of them. Obviously, and then you go and then you see like Bjorn go and slaughter lines and slaughter jumps, and then go do a gap to back lip. Like that's just, I don't know. It's like that ATV doesn't exist very often, and it comes around every once in a while, and snowboarding separating itself, and it's just cool to see somebody that does it all. But no. But then there's also like if you're a kid from Minnesota, like when I watched Hard, the Hungry, and the Homeless, I was so it was all relatable. I could go in my backyard and do it. So if I was a kid in Minnesota, I'd probably want to watch a street video. If I was a kid in Salt Lake, I'd want to watch a Sam Taxwood. If I was, in the Pacific Northwest, I might be like, I want to see only backcountry, because it's a little more relatable, I guess. But, to each their own. But I prefer to watch, a little of everything. So.
Okay. Well,
don't you think it's cool that the kids that are like only those street kids, like let's say the Minnesota kids, I think it's cool that they can see like an Arthur Longo or like that backcountry stuff, because it gives them like a different dimension of snowboarding to go, like, even if they're fast forwarding through it a little bit, you know what I mean? Like people used to do with big mountain riding and stuff back in videos. But I just think like opening up that door, it's cool to see in a video where you have multiple avenues of snowboarding covered, because when it's just all one thing, then maybe you're not getting exposed to, snowboarding has so much to offer.
Yeah.
It's good exposure.
It's funny because some of the other movies that came out were like a combination, not a combination, I'm sorry. They were like individual things, like Resetter, which was like a Travis Rice movie. And of course, I'm sure all three of us watched that thing because we're all fans of Travis Rice and want to see what he's up to, but it was just like them riding around Jackson Hole as the COVID shutdown was happening. And so it's interesting to like kind of compare that to say like the Vans movie, where it's really like a little bit of everything versus something that's just powder,
Yeah, you could tell, Vans was there's so many more athletes in it, and it was like a full seasons project. Where the resetter was cool because for me it was cool to watch because obviously I relate to like Travis's snowboarding, but then also they were riding stuff on their snowmobiles and split boards in the backcountry in Jackson, right after the stuff hit the fan, where, in March and April, and COVID was, people were scared to go outside or whatever. And I was kind of doing the same thing during those times. And so for me, it was relatable, but.
Yeah. Did you watch that one, Chad?
I did, and it was awesome. It was, those guys on their home turf, so it was cool to see, instead of, like, I think Travis might have mentioned it, normally he's in Alaska, and now he's kind of ripping around Jackson and doing their own thing. He did some pretty awesome lines, Carter and Cam too, those guys are all awesome. Fun to watch. It always makes you want to go back up there and shred around, which hopefully we'll be doing soon,
Yep. Okay, what about Corvado? Tell us about that one, Bjorn, because that's one of your team riders for Cardiff, and that was an interesting movie. I actually watched that one, and it was kind of like one run, right? 12-minute movie, one run. Tell us about it.
Yeah, so Corvado is a mountain down in Patagonia. And so, yeah, one of our ambassadors for Cardiff, Raphael Pease, they have a production company and a platform called the Connections Movement. And that's where you can go to connectionsmovement.com and watch their latest film. But yeah, basically it was like like you said, 12-minute film of them summiting, from basically the sea to the top of this ice-covered mountain in Patagonia. And so it's that adventure aspect, they're like literally macheting through a jungle, at the bottom of this hike, and then, make their way up, and got to ride down it. And it just looked like a, fun group of guys that were going after kind of a goal that they had set, that they wanted to, get as high as they could and snowboard back down. So.
Right. When was the last time you used a machete for bushwhacking to go find a line, Chad?
Have you ever been to Bariloche? I wish I would have brought a machete. You go through, it's called bushwhacking, and you go down from Cerro Catedral, and then you go down and, you ride that resort, and you go far out. It was like Coulter and Skylar and a bunch of us, and you're riding down, and it felt like the jungle. You're like, can barely get through these trees, and you're ripping your board through. But that's what I thought was really cool about that movie, is these guys are in the jungle with all their snowboard gear, like insects and all kinds of crazy stuff, like creeping up on them, and they're just like, we're trying to go snowboard, and they're like full on and like, putting these leaves over their heads to keep the rain off of them. But yeah, the last time was in 2013, I believe, in Cerro Catedral in Argentina.
Okay.
And if you've ever been there and you've gone in the side country there, you know exactly what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
Bushwhacking.
Okay. Any other movies that stuck out for you this week? Anything that kind of like came up on your radar where you were like, wow, that was kind of unexpected and cool?
Cole, yeah, Cam's movie, Colisons. It's like, I think there was some, there might have been some overlapping footage from Resetter, but and also there's in that movie too. It's all Jackson Hole, but there's a bunch of Colorado kids in the movie, so that was kind of cool to watch. Like a lot of these kids that just kind of ride park around here all the time went up to Jackson and met up with Cam and the crew, and filmed with them. So they're making the right step in the right direction to get out of the park.
Does your love for Colorado run so deep, Chad, that any movie that features Colorado riders is automatically like a step above any movie that doesn't feature Colorado riders? Just curious. Inquiring minds want to know.
100%. I think I was maybe 5 years old the first time I came here, and then that was 1981. So, and then with over the last decade, when Energy Drink Lane got blown out and Breckenridge and Summit kind of got a lot of heat for just being a donkey park zone and this and that, so I like to defend that. I like to support what we got going on here.
Fair enough. And how about any other movies for you? Let's wrap up this movie thing, but do you have any other movies that you saw that you really liked that stood out for you, Bjorn?
Board Slide Worldwide. It's basically it's like Austin Sweeten's Winter. So it's a Quicksilver produced movie, which, I think Sean Lucci was the main filmer. Yeah, they always do a good job on their productions. It started off, they went to Japan with like Griffin Siebert, did a bunch of splitboarding and then just power riding, which looked fun as hell. And then, it looked like kind of like just Baker days, like cloudy, snowy, typical Baker days, like little sneaky lines and stuff, and following Austin and the crew around. And then I couldn't really tell if it was like Washington backcountry. Maybe there was a little Canada in there, but some pillows and some cool stuff to kind of round out the end of the movie. And Austin, he's just a little, ball of energy jumping down the mountain. So it's always a pleasure to watch. And
Well, hey, did you guys watch this other one that I saw this week called Mountain Minded? It's kind of like a snow safety video, so it's not really like get your stoke level like super high, but it's like, hey, word of warning here. But it was kind of well produced, I thought, anyway.
Yeah, I saw it with that Absinthe did it. It's like a 5-minute video, basically just saying, go get educated before you go in the backcountry and try to stay safe, which I thought was great. It's like a public service announcement, so it was pretty sick.
Cool. Well, I can hear Chad typing right now. Chad is he's just typing a message back to his next Tinder date.
That's me typing.
Never mind.
I don't do Tinder.
Okay. All right, guys, guess what time it is? We haven't done this in a while, but you know what it is. It's time for Clip Show. So I brought up some clips. These are from the last 2-3 weeks, I'd say. I've been saving some of these because we haven't done this in a while. But I got some clips for you guys to comment on. So let's, without further ado, look at some clips. What do you guys say?
I'm ready.
Bam! Double kink rail to, hip check.
Looks like it was soft down on that landing, though. He clipped in the right spot. But to users watching, you want to commit to kinks. You don't want to pull back when you're going into them.
How do you guys feel about the fact that there's a skier up there? Do you guys ever go with skiers and do rail sessions, or maybe that's his problem, that he was watching the skier and not being able to like lean off the, the technique a little bit?
100%.
Yeah, the skiers. I don't know.
Okay, anyhow, I just thought that was entertaining, right?
I mean, if it just was like a full half commitment right there. Just it looked like from the beginning. Look, watch the front foot start to slide out before you even get to the kink. Yep, you're done.
Okay, so you got to commit. Next clip.
Kind of scared.
That's commitment. Switch board slide down like a triple kink. What was that thing? Quad kink? Down, flat, down, flat, down.
I mean, I thought this would be a nice juxtaposition to the last clip. Like, this is the commitment right here.
What do you think about the super kicker going in? I know in the last snowboarder, the one before, they made a little article about, I mean, it's an article is 25 years dated, but how big your kicker should be going into a rail. It looks like a super kicker, but it's still good style jumping into it. Just kind of being opinionated on this one.
I love it, dude. That's super kickers. They're whack. Let's just call out all the kids that are doing it. I mean, they're straight up, they're lame. Ask like the Don, JP Walker, or Jeremy Jones. You got to skate style it. And I can see a super kicker if you're like jumping over a fence and back rodeoing onto a rail or something, but that's like a 2-foot tall jump, and it should be like 6 inches high.
So we got the commitment part right, but he got the kicker part wrong.
Yeah.
Okay.
True fact.
We're going to get out of this clip then. Check this one out. First street clip from North Carolina ever, maybe. Luke Winkelmann.
That for the listeners, he does like a stall on a rail and then rides over it down like a down, flat, down. And it's pretty sick.
Yep. Good for Luke. He's probably back home for Christmas vacation or something. And it snowed, Zeb could put on a show in North Carolina too, Speaking of North Carolinians, they kind of are in the same crowd.
Is this like if it snowed in Las Vegas? Is this a first right here? We got a legit street spot filmed in North
I think
Carolina.
so. I mean, that's what the word on the street is. That's
Sick.
pretty cool, though, and he brings his own style to it, so I appreciated that for sure. Okay, let's move on. Now we're going to go to some flatland snowboarding with the king of flatland, Scott Stevens.
Butters
Yeah.
for days.
That's just like
There's a tree ride coming up.
total control, like everywhere, right?
Yeah.
And so,
No, it's,
you know, I mean, this is really
right.
just Scott Stevens just kind of going front side, back side, balancing on the nose, on the tail, buttering around, and it just demonstrates like amazing board control, I would say.
yeah.
And then
Those back and forth remind me of Terrier. He did that in like a TV movie, like, you know, years ago in Power. He's kind of bouncing around back and forth on the sword board, like that right there. Yeah. If you guys remember that, I don't know.
Okay, now let's go to another guy.
Yes,
another
sir.
guy got another clip of flatland here. Here's our next clip of flatland. What do you guys make of this one? This guy's name is Sean White. You might have heard of him.
Looks like he's
Yeah.
just cruising down the mountain having fun.
Yeah.
See, this is where he could have grabbed
I
his
mean-
boot, though. Right there, he could have grabbed the boot instead of the tip of the board. And look, he wiped
What
out.
what kind of outer? Where is
He
he
looks-
riding?
Oh, I think that might be some Moncler outerwear. I think he's gone for like the high-end Shishi stuff these days. Maybe.
I'm backing it. Well, anytime you see Sean trying to do stuff out of the park or the pipe, it's kind of like, it's pretty awesome to see just because, you know, you see him in the pipe so much.
And I would say this is probably the first time that I've seen him doing things that are like, I mean, obviously you've seen him in slope style contests and half pipe contests, but this is just him messing around, which is actually kind of refreshing, right?
I agree. It's go have fun. Looks like he's dinking around. People need to see that out of you, Sean.
Yep.
Yeah.
Okay.
Enjoy
Go
yourself.
go ride some POW next, brother.
Exactly. Next clip. This one is kind of sketchy. This one, I hope you guys enjoy this because this is really sketchy. So this guy kind of rolls up to this edge and he kind of like takes a look around. This is a GoPro shot. And he looks down the slope. There's like rock and snow.
What looks like powder is pure ice. Oh,
And so then he like washes out immediately and just takes off going faster and faster right into the rocks.
it looks like he slid on the boulder field for like 30 or 40 feet on his butt.
Right now, would you call that jibbing
You
or
might have
bonking?
hooked a rock. Bonking.
Looks like an enema.
I think he needs to take a note from Raphael Peace's volcano expedition and get a couple ice axes.
Yeah.
But he was just got excited. He was probably just cruising around. Who knows?
Now,
Making sure.
in juxtaposition to that clip, I brought you this clip.
Booyah, big old
This-
POW turn. Who
This
is that?
Slash Diaz right here. Emmanuel Diaz.
Manuel.
So I thought that was a pretty cool clip right there. Oh, there we go. Back to the clip. And I just thought, you know, if the guy thought he was looking down there thinking he was going to make a turn like that on that field, this is what that turn would have looked like. Instead, he slid over rocks. So anyhow. And then I got one last clip for you guys just because it's so dope. Check this out. Not the gnarliest trick. This is Kevin Backstrom. So he does a backflip, but then he like hits this like other rock and just barely like taps this rock on re-entry and almost uses this like rock as a landing pad.
Awesome. I love how like every other Kevin Backstrom clip I see, it runs out into like a lift line. Like he just finds like the sickest stuff just right off the side of the lift or right off the side on the resort in Europe.
We should do a little spoof on that and have him come to Breckenridge and just get yelled at by yellow coats. I thought this was like my resort at home, and then just have him getting kicked out and thrown in jail.
Right, but
I mean, like all his side huts, he's like digging the sickest side hits, like right on the cat track, and the ski patrol say nothing in Europe. It's amazing. Here, you like we would drive around with a shovel pack, and every time we just pull that shovel out, we get absolutely yelled at, and or our pass like almost gets pulled. So let's go to make it more like Europe, people. Less rules.
Yeah,
cool.
you're the best.
So that wraps up our clip show for this week. And, you know, I thought there was some interesting stuff, but I would say Christmas week, a lot of people are at home and just kind of like, I don't know, unwrapping presents or whatever. You get any good? What was your best gift, Bjorn? What was the best thing you got for Christmas this year? Oh, wrong guy.
Yeah, my youngest son Micaiah got me. If you've ever seen Crocodile Dundee? Crocodile Dundee's a movie. This Australian. He has a knife that's like this long, the blade. And so my 15-year-old got me this like survival knife that has like a flint starter as well and a compass, and like the handle screws apart so you can put your other things in there, you know, like fishing line and all that. So that's my favorite Christmas present.
Is that going to go into your backcountry kit? You're going to carry that around with you?
Unfortunately, it weighs about 10 pounds. It's so big and heavy. But no, it's not going in the backcountry kit. Okay. But yeah.
All right. How about for you?
But you can be like in they're like, that's not a knife, that's a knife, and you like pull it out.
That's what's up.
So how about for you, Chad? What was your favorite gift that you received for Christmas this year?
Well, I'm hanging out of this one. This is a oversized ski strap, which is really good for the back of your snowmobile on your cheater rack. You can lock stuff down on that. And then I got these from my brother. We were unwrapping presents down in Boulder. I got some bike pads, brake pads. That's pretty awesome. And then I got a couple other things. I got these gloves, just like really thin waterproof liner gloves. You can kind of wear, so like when you're split boarding, you can pull your mitts off, and then, you know, your hands will still be warm, but you can transition your board and then throw it back together without, you know, your hands getting cold. Or for photography, I like taking photos, so I can completely control my camera with these little thin, nice waterproof gloves. But yeah,
cool.
You know, probably got a couple of things, but those are some pretty awesome ones that are offhand.
Hey, I got something else I'd like to mention. So somebody needs to start making like a tech deck snowboard again. Mm-hmm. I literally bought my son a 1998 UC Oxenden gravity snowboard toy, which is like a tech deck toy, off of eBay for $12. So the market's real, people. When Chad, we might have to put our heads together. We can do some Academy ones, we can do some Cardiff ones, maybe rope in some other brands. But you know what I'm talking about, right?
Yeah, well, we can get Aspen to get the deal going and have them, you know, make it all. So it'll be good.
Yeah, I saw that Kevin Jones on the Hamburg meat grinder, he had one of those, and it was like they just like made up all of his hobbies, like the bio on the back of the box. It's like, oh, he loves golf. He's like, I don't play golf.
Really?
Yeah, but that was an Aspen deal.
I was for the sport. They didn't, you know, it's pretty intense.
Right on. Well, they
didn't really care.
I got to say thank you guys for being part of another edition of Real Talk. This has been a fun one. We're bringing video back again. I got the little studio here set up in Denver. And I got a new show, by the way, that I'm releasing starting the 1st of January, which is going to be, basically it's going to be called Bullets and Powder. And it's basically just the bullet points of news, just like this person got sponsored, this resort got shut down, whatever. And then where you're going to find the powder for that week. And it'll come out every few days. It'll be what's called a microcast, which is like 3 to 5 minutes long. It's just like boom, boom, boom. Try to give people just the update on where they can find the powder and then anything that might have happened. So I got that coming on the 1st.
Sounds good. We'll tune in for that.
And so thank you guys for being another part of the essential component of Real Talk. And I'm looking forward to making it up to Breck to go riding with you. And I want to go split boarding with you, Bjorn. That's going to be one of the highlights of my season, I think. So anyhow, Thank you for tuning in. I want you guys to have a happy new year, and we'll be back in the new year. 2020, we're going to get rid of you now. This is it. So.
Oh, it's two more. We'll be at 2021. We'll be back.
Well, we'll see you guys next year.